Today I'm going to be talking about where Washington crossed the Delaware River and attacked the Hessians who were staying at Trenton. So, have you ever seen the picture by Emmanuel that's currently sitting in the Metropolis Museum of Art in New York City? It shows Washington in all his glory, standing in the huge bow of a boat, crossing what looks like could be the Mississippi River because it's so large with icebergs floating by him. And although this is very epic and very inspiring, which is what the artist was going for, he was a French patriot but a huge fan of Washington, this is actually not how it looks. I visited the crossing site and was a little disappointed when I saw that it actually only fit kayaks instead of large boats. But it was a very, very cool place to visit. They still have a historical park there called Washington's Crossing Park, and every year they have many events that come. A lot of them are speakers, historians talking about books they've written concerning Washington or the Revolution. Also, there's a Heritage Foundation who does discussions about the Loyalists or other people who lived during that time period. And as many historical sites do, there was a lot of reenactments that happened there. So you can learn to weave a basket, you can learn to cook on an open fire, you can talk with people who are pretending to be from the British side, from the Hessian side, from the American Revolution. It's a very hands-on experience, and they've done a great job preserving the park around where Washington set off to defeat the Hessians at Trenton on Christmas Eve. It was really important that Washington accomplished this, and this is why this is such a commemorated moment and such a commemorated piece of land. This end of the year of 1776 showed that the revolution was ending. They had lost their momentum. They thought that everyone was going to go home because the enlistments were going to be up at the end of the year. And so Washington needed, above all else, to gain a major military victory at this point in the war, or he was going to lose his entire army. And without an army to fight the war, there would be no war to fight. So Washington decided to take a gamble, and although this was one of the coldest winters, and although in the picture there's icebergs, they weren't that big, there was still some ice on the river, and they had ferrymen cross an entire Continental Army, unbeknownst to the Hessians who were celebrating Christmas, and successfully take the town of Trenton, which was the first victory Washington had, although this was not a giant victory by any means of European grand feats on the battlefield. This was a huge moral victory for the Americans, seeing that for once their general and their army, their own Continental Army, was able to successfully surprise and take the enemy. And this also was able to reinvigorate all the forces, and Washington was able to get enough free enlistments to continue the fight until the Battle of Yorktown almost 7 years later. And so the battle that happened at Trenton is also preserved in the Trenton Barracks, so you can start your morning at the crossing of the Delaware and see where Washington crossed, and then head over to the barracks in Trenton where they still have reenactors showing what life was like under the British in their army, which is very different than the military today. This is a very important historic site, and I'm excited to see that it's been preserved throughout the time.